Hi, everyone. Hey, so today we are going to go on a socially distant, responsible hike with just a few friends. So I thought I'd walk you through some of the things that I do when I'm getting ready for a hike. So first of all, I wanted to show you what I have in my little pack because we're just doing a simple hike today, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So I take a pretty simple fanny pack along. I make sure that I have water. And if I was going on a long hike today, I would take this whole little travel first aid kit. But we're going on a pretty simple hike today, so I just pulled a few things out from there that I'm going to take with me. So inside the pack itself, I wear contacts. So I have a little travel size contact solution. You might want to take glasses if you wear glasses, but I take an extra contact. And in my jacket, I have a pack of tissues and my hand sanitizer. And that's about it as far as the things I'll take on the trail. In my car, in case I have to stop somewhere, I have gloves, medical gloves. I have a homemade bandana face mask, which looks awesome. I'll demo that later. I have my sunglasses and I have my wallet. In the car, I have Clorox wipes. So if I have to stop somewhere, like to get gas or something, I can do that. All right, so we are on the road. I say we because Carolina is coming along with me. She's filming. And Carolina is part of what I call my cluster, meaning that people that live with me in my house. So if you're going hiking with friends, there's going to be one set of rules for the people who don't live in your house and a separate set of rules for the people who do live in your house. So Carolina's in my cluster, so she can be in my car. If you go hiking with friends, you want to make sure you drive separately to the hiking location. Also, you want to make sure that your car has gas. I'm good right now because I'm just a little lower than full. The last time I gassed up was 2 weeks at the Costco, which I was very impressed because at the Costco, I brought my own things to make sure that I didn't get contaminated by the handles and things. But when I was done, they had an attendant there that went out and sprayed everything down, and he said he appreciated that I had gloves and my own wipes, but he still sprayed everything down when I was done. So yay, Costco. Hi, good morning, Jeff and Dave. So we are hiking with Jeff and Dave. Jeff and Dave are in the same cluster along with their dog Freya. So they all get to be very close together, but we want to make sure we keep our right now we have a ridiculous amount of distance between us. We can get a little closer than that, but we want to make sure that we don't get too close today while we're hiking. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about hiking with a pet.
Sure. So one of the things that you're going to want to keep in mind, especially if your dog is a little bit of a roamer like mine, obviously if you are encountering strangers, you put the dog on a leash, you would do that anyway. One thing that you should be doing anyway, but this is especially important right now, is when you pass anybody, and we'll demonstrate this I think, there's an etiquette to how you give people space. Especially if they also have a dog. So we'll get to that in a moment. But rule number one, and this is a pretty just basic rule, easy for everybody to follow, is if someone is not in your cluster, they should not touch your dog. That's just the way it should be right now. And that's really hard, and of course the dog doesn't understand. But that would be rule number one. Don't touch other people's dogs.
So remember, don't touch other people's dogs. And in theater, we always say, don't touch other people's props. So that's easy to remember, right, theater folk? Karen has arrived. And
Freya is very happy to see Karen, but we are practicing our good rules. It's hard because we love Freya so much, and all we want to do is give her our love. Here I am in my homemade mask, made out of my bandana, which I showed you earlier today when I was packing all my stuff today. David has his mask on. We're not going to wear these masks to go hiking because we're going to keep a safe distance. But masks are good if you have to stop at a store and you have to be around people and they might not be practicing the same rules you are. So that's when it's good to have a mask. But we are outside and we want to get lots of fresh air. So we're going to keep our distance so we don't have to wear a mask.
Hey, Carolina.
Hello.
So, tell me a little bit about your socks here.
So because we don't want to get any ticks on us, because ticks can transmit Lyme disease, we're gonna tuck our pants into our socks so that it's a lot harder for them to get to you and your skin.
Very good. Right. So we want to remember during this time of COVID-19 that we still want to do all the precautions necessary to prevent ticks. The place, Jeff, just speak loudly while you're walking.
Okay.
Tell us why you picked this location today. We are at the Lebanon Reservoir Trail.
Yes, so I thought this would be a nice, just easy, pleasant walk. And it's pretty spacious, so it's not like a cramped wood trail. It's a rail trail, so there's lots of space if we encounter anybody that we don't know. We can give them a lot of space and stay far away from them. So I thought it would really lend itself to social distance hiking.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And so Jeff and Dave are up there. Again, they can be close because they live in the same cluster. Carolina's near me, and behind me is Karen. So we tried to break up our order of hiking so we can have different conversations. So just had a really great conversation with Jeff and Dave, and now Jeff went back to go talk with Karen. Freya keeps running up and down the path, sort of checking on everybody like she does. And we're just having a really great time. Okay, so we're gonna demo again, coming across somebody on the trail. All right, so Jeff has Freya.
So, like I said, this is good etiquette no matter what, even out of a pandemic, but in a pandemic especially, you want to give people their space. So if Karen were walking towards me, I would do this. Freya, come. Cut.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
So in a pandemic, you want to give people their space, but also out of a pandemic, you want to give people their space. So this is what that looks like on the trail. Oh. Hello. Enjoy your hike. Thank you.
Follow me.
Here we go. We're taking a little side trail off the main trail. Because it looks like... Hi, David.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, I'm Melissa Nicholson, Executive Director at Gamut Theater. But today I'm hiking. We've taken a side trail. Look at this beautiful creek. Lovely. It's a babbling brook, if you will. And these are kinds of things that you just don't see when you are doing your everyday activities. So it's fun to get out into the woods and see what you can find. Sun is peeking through. Yeah. So a lot of times when you go on a hike, there's some kind of scenic payoff at the end, or if you go up to it and then you have to hike back out. So the scenic payoff here is actually the reservoir itself. It's very beautiful and peaceful, and it's a great place to just sort of stop and reflect a little bit. And when we're done with our scenic view here, we will hike on back to the cars.
Nice.
Say that again, Jeff.
I said geese are mean, and if they come over here, we are leaving.
There's a bunch of geese way over on the other side of the reservoir, but we can't really pick it up with the camera. So one thing you might not know about Karen Rook is that she also dabbles in forest therapy, nature therapy. Dabbles. Do you want to tell us a little?
I'm interested in getting certified as a forest therapist. And
Excellent.
forest therapy is based on a Japanese practice called forest bathing. And it is very much about using your senses and connecting to nature. And there's all sorts of research showing the benefits, the mental health benefits, the benefits to physical health if people get to be out in nature and connect to nature. Even studies have been shown that if people work in an office environment or are in a city, even if they can view trees, something green outside their window, it increases their mental health, their mental capabilities. So people's efficiency actually can go up and their abilities can go up. Students do better on tests if they are exposed to nature. So that's the principle of it. And there are programs so you can get certified as a guide for nature walks, and I'm very interested in doing that.
So this trail is perfect for pandemic conditions because it is a very safe, flat trail, as you can see. One of the things you don't want to do is pick some very difficult, major, like mountain hiking excursion right now. Or if you do, be super careful, walk slowly, because you don't want to do something where you might get hurt and have to go to the hospital. That would not be very socially conscious right now.
Okay. Is it okay that there are 3?
Yes.
Okay. So this is by no means an exhaustive list either, because all right. Anyway, the point is, so one of my favorites was the first show that I did at Gamut, which was Richard III. It was in the fall of 2009. It was directed by Jeremy Garrett, and it was set in like a sort of Gangs of New York style world.
I remember it well.
Yes, it was my first experience in Harrisburg, my theatrical experience in Harrisburg. It was a drama, and like I don't get to do a lot of like dramatic like roles, and so that was super fun. I got to die, which I also loved, and just like
Always fun in a Shakespeare play.
yes, and that's also like where I met so many of the people who would become like my foundation of family friend network here in Harrisburg. So it was a really special experience for me. Further on down the line, we did the Complete Works Shakespeare Abridged, which was just a hoot. And it was so fun to do with Jeremy and Dan and Clark directing, and like all the audience engagement that we had each night was so fresh and fun, and I loved that. And then most recently directed the park show Much Ado About Nothing, and that was such a joy.
Oh yeah.
Directing generally for Gamut is always so enjoyable, but then also it was my first time directing in the park. And what an experience that was, and what a family kind of like bunch of people that was too, working on it. So yeah, I just yeah, I had a lot of good memories with Gamut Theater, and hope to create many more.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So we have gone way off the trail, sticking in our clusters, because there's a huge group coming down the trail right now, and they were kind of taking up the whole thing. So we decided instead of like scooching to the side, we'd actually go off trail and let them pass.
When I first came to Gamut in 2008,
one of the touring popcorn hat shows we did was Rapunzel, and I had never done children's theater before that point. I just did a lot of Shakespeare and classical theater, and so Rapunzel was daunting at first, but ended up being super fun in ways I had not expected. And we got to tour it all year long to countless schools and connecting with lots of different kids in different regions where a lot of them had never seen a play or gotten to do anything involved with theater before. And so that experience was just really, really cool and really meaningful. And the script was just a great time.
Another point we wanted to bring up is that you don't want to take a very large group social distance hiking. We have 5 of us today from 3 different clusters. That's about as many as you want to handle, because after that it gets a little ridiculous when you're trying to space everybody out, and it's just a little bit more manageable. So keep that in mind as well. Don't make this into a huge group outing.
So one of the reasons why I picked this trail is because it's a spacious rail trail. So if you pass people or people who aren't in your cluster, you can give them enough space where it's responsible. The other reason, or the other tip I wanted to share was we chose to go at 8:15 this morning, which is pretty early for some, and I would recommend going early or later in the day to avoid the majority of people. And that's just, if that's an option for you, it's something to consider.
Thank you, Jeff.
Another tip, it's springtime and you're going to have spring allergies if you're like most people. So if you need to sneeze into your elbow, right? If for whatever reason you cough into your hand or into your glove, make sure that you try not to touch your face and that you also wash everything, wash your hands, wash your body as soon as you get home.
Thank you for joining us today for tips on a socially distant hike with friends. Melissa saying goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
So I hope you enjoyed our social distance hiking video today, and maybe it gave you a few ideas or a few things to think about that you hadn't before. I'm in no way a hiking expert. It's just something I like to do. And this is something that Gamut Theater is sharing on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, a different core company member is sharing a talent, a skill, or an interest with all of you, and maybe giving you something different to try at home, or just an opportunity to see us and say hello. To all my students out there, I miss you so much, and all the Gamut patrons and everybody. This is just a really interesting time, but we're all doing it together, right? I want you to know all of the Nicholsons are healthy and we are well. And Clark is putting together his own segment to do, which will be a lot of fun. It's called The End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine. So he's going to walk us through some of the more famous apocalyptic stories from speculative fiction, and just kind of take a lighthearted look at that. So that should be a lot of fun. So we have that to look forward to, and there's a whole schedule of the different segments we'll be doing each Wednesday. If you liked this today, I can't stress to you enough how these are difficult times for theaters. So if you'd like to make a donation, you can go to gamuttheater.org/donate. And you can make a donation there. Any size donation is awesome. But you certainly don't have to. Just thanks for checking in with us. And this is a neat idea, and I'm glad we're getting an opportunity to just kind of get out there and share some of our personal interests and talents with y'all. So hang in there. I love you. Can't wait to hug everybody again. And That's Melissa signing out. Bye.